Next, we will move on to our second session, protocols related to care of patients with COVID-19 in critical care unit. Sister Elsie Kevi will be presenting this topic. Sister completed her master's from Savitha University, Chennai, and has 10 years of clinical experience and 13 years of teaching experience. Currently, she is an associate professor and head of the department in our college. Sister is a very charming and self-motivated person. Over to you, sister.
Thank you, Ms. Neetu. Good morning, everyone. Let me start my topic for the second session. My topic is protocols related to care of patients with COVID-19 in critical care unit. Overview of this session includes categorization of COVID-19 patients. Next, adult critical care guidelines, transportation of COVID-19 patients, COVID-19 guidelines on dead body management, role of health professional in infection control in ICU setting. As an introduction, the COVID-19 pandemic has been evolving since it first surfaced in China. With more data and inputs from around the world, there is now better understanding about the disease pattern, including treatment. There is a study on infection prevention in COVID-19 critically ill patients. This study was done in China. It states that amongst 55,924 laboratory confirmed cases in China, 6.1% cases identified as critically ill. This study reveals that critical care nursing is essential in COVID-19 scenario. Now we can see categories of COVID-19 based on symptomatology. There are three categories. First one, A category. This group of patients may show mild sore throat, cough, rhinitis and diarrhea. B group of patients may be having fever, severe sore throat, cough, diarrhea, or patients with the major system disorders like cardiovascular disease, HIV, and who are on long-term steroids or immunosuppressive drugs, aged patients more than 60 years, pregnant ladies with category A manifestations. Last category, C group, involves red flag signs, that is, the manifestations of breathlessness, chest pain, drowsiness, falling, BP, hemoptysis, cyanosis are present in this group of patients. Also, there will be worsening of underlying chronic conditions. This slide describes on investigations and consultations. These are investigations to be done. Basically, ECG, chest X-ray, complete blood count, urea creatinine, electrolytes, LFT, CRP, LDH, ESR, D-dimer, ferritin, PCP, respiratory panel, PCR if available. And these important diagnostic tests are D-dimer and PCT. D-dimer is revealing the presence of clots in the blood. So it's an indication of pulmonary embolism. Then PCT, procalcitonin, it is also Very important in COVID scenario as it indicates the bacterial sepsis. Then next category of investigation is used to identify the risk stratification. During this time, D-dimer, fibrinogen, prothrombin, PGT, magnesium, plectin, CRP, ESR, PCT, LDH, troponin, BNP should be checked. Next, other lab tests like blood cultures, viral serology, PCT, stool coronavirus should be done. If any positivity of troponin or elevated levels of troponin or any ECG abnormalities are seen, we have to advise the patient for cardiology consultation. It is better to perform a transthoracic echocardiogram that will be revealing the movement of the internal structures of heart. If thrombotic stage is revealing thrombosis, we have to consider the investigation for thrombosis at a regular interval. Next, about adult critical care guidelines. For this, we have to define the cases that are to be admitted in ICU setting. The patients with respiratory failure, shock, other organ failure requires ICU admission should be considered. Coming to the treatment, we have to initiate with the general measures like bed rest, maintenance of fluid, acid-base balances, and all other general care to be provided. Then antiviral treatment, it is to be provided as per state guidelines. In oxygen therapy and respiratory therapy, it can be achieved by the use of nasal mask, non-breather mask, and CPAP. Though it is provided, the patient's saturation level is not maintaining adequately, we have to initiate bag and mask ventilation. Here we have to connect HMB or bacterial filter to limit aerosol generation. Heat and moisture exchange will be taking place here, so the dust particles will be removed because of the use of HMB filter. For that, we have to follow EC technique. It is nothing but we are holding thumb and index finger over the nasal mask, and other fingers are placing in the mandible. So this technique can be followed. There is no emergency situation. We are seeing about critical or resuscitation in COVID-19 patients. For that, it is avoided exposure to COVID-19. Before entering the scene, all rescuers should don personal protective equipment to guard against with airborne and droplet particles. Leave it personally in the room or on the scene. Clearly communicate COVID-19 status to any new providers before their arrival on the particular scene. Next, about the intubation and ventilator therapy. If the saturation is not maintained adequately, we have to intubate promptly with adequate personnel and equipment. Minimum, there should be 2 personnel with the PPE and articles for intubation and ventilator should be ready for the use. This equipment should be covered with transparent plastic sheet. Ventilator should be set in desired mode with the desired settings and on standby mode with test lamp attached. While intubating the patient, better to use video laryngoscope. First operator connects the circuit or amplifier to ET tube. Second person inflates ET tube simultaneously. Give breath only after cuff inflation. Now, you have to ensure bilateral air entry by seeing the chest muscles raise. Confirm placement of ET tube by ET CO2, that is partial pressure of carbon dioxide level should be monitored. Thereby we can confirm the placement of ET tube. Then secure the ET tube with plasters. Give maintenance drugs accordingly. For connecting the ET tube to ventilator, you have to clamp initially ET tube, then disconnect. After that, we can connect closed tracheal section, then connect to ventilator. After connecting the tube to the ventilator, change from standby mode, then declamp ET. So adequate ventilation will be possible. Now you can see these are all the COVID aerosol generating procedures. Intubation, extubation, bronchoscopy, high flow nasal oxygen therapy, non-invasive ventilation, especially with a poorly fitting mask, tracheostomy, CPR prior to intubation. Prioritize ventilation strategies with lower aerosolization risk. For that, you have to attach a HEPA filter, that is high efficiency particulate air filter, to mechanical ventilation device. Patients should be intubated with a cuffed tube. Connect the ET tube to a ventilator with a HEPA filter. Close the door when possible to prevent airborne contamination of adjacent indoor space. Next treatment measure is prone position ventilation. Early prone ventilation may be considered for refractory hypoxemia as in ARDS. First session of prone ventilation is to at least 12 hours. If further sessions, it can be extended. During the prone position ventilation, muscle relaxants may be used to avoid accidental displacement or extubation. Next, fluid management. Conservative fluid strategy to be followed to reduce pulmonary edema. Tracheostomy can be done if it is essential, as it is an aerosolization procedure, better to avoid. Then nebulizers can be avoided. Instead, we can use repeated dose inhalers. During this particular situation, ECMO should be considered if it is available. Next, treatment line, convalescent plasma. APO-compatible plasma transfusion of 200 ml can be given to the COVID patients. It can be followed by one additional dose of 200 ml at 24 hours interval unless contraindicated. Sometimes patients may have pulmonary edema or any hyperolemia. So You have to think about that. If it is unless it is contraindicated, another unit of plasma transfusion can be done. This plasma is drawn from post-COVID patient. Second plasma unit will preferably be from a different donor depending on availability of another ABO compatible plasma unit. Or else it can be taken from the same donor. Next line of treatment is management of complications. Sometimes COVID myocarditis or any arrhythmias may be developed, so it should be monitored promptly and treated accordingly. So if I have to assess with the ECG, cardiac biomarkers and echocardiography. Monitor clinically for mental status, urinary output, capillary refill time, blood pressure and heart rate. If any arrhythmias are developed, it should be corrected immediately. Next complication may happen is RV failure, right ventricular failure due to ARDS high ventilating pressure. Then next complication is pulmonary embolism. In this stage, there will be marked increase or rise in D-dimer from baseline and acute worsening of oxygenation, blood pressure, tachycardia with imaging findings may suggest pulmonary embolism. So, if I do initiate anticoagulant therapy and heparin binds tightly to COVID-19 spike protein. Then nutrition aspect, early enteral feeds preferred with a high calorie in a ventilated patient. And also should be provided proteins adequately. The range or a normal requirement of protein is between 1.5 to 2 grams per kg. For an adult, the ideal adult, it is 1 to 1.5 grams per kg. This slide shows the algorithm of treatment that is used in AIIMS. It will be discussed in the following slides. This management is intended for mild group of COVID-19 disease. Initially, we have to advise for home isolation. During that time, the patient may have upper respiratory tract infection symptoms without shortness of breath, or hypoxia will not be present. For home isolation, the precautions to be taken for droplet infection and contact infection. So strict hand hygiene should be followed. Symptomatic management to be done. Hydrochloroquine may be considered in patients with high risk factors of severe disease. The admission is needed if the patient has difficulty in breathing, severe cough, or anybody is advising the person to get admitted, then saturation level is very much decreased. During this situation, the patient has to be admitted. Second category of management, moderate disease management. During this stage, respiratory rate will be more than 24 per minute. Saturation level will be less than 94% on room air. So So the patient should be admitted in ward setting. Oxygen should be supported. Antiviral therapy should be initiated. Anti-inflammatory drugs or immunomodulatory therapy should be initiated. Anticoagulation therapy is started if any alterations in the coagulation profile. Then close monitoring should be done for dyspnea, hemodynamic instabilities, SpO2 levels. Here also, lab tests should be followed according to the state guidelines. Next, about the management of severe disease patients. Here, the respiratory rate will be increased more than 30 breaths per minute. Saturation level will be less than 90% on pneumonia. So patient should be admitted in ICU setting. Here respiratory support should be provided with high flow nasal catheters or else with non-invasive ventilation if it is needed, ventilator therapy. Here also antiviral therapy should be initiated with the anti-inflammatory or immunomodulatory therapy, anticoagulation therapy, and other supportive measures should be initiated. Going to the patient placement in ICU. Place the patient in a single room that has negative air pressure setting in relation to the surrounding area 6 to 12 air changes per hour. Keep the room door closed always. The ICU should be accessible, sinks and alcohol tank dispensers. Here, the staff should use dedicated medical equipments, that is individual blood pressure cuffs and thermometers should be used. Healthcare worker should use special mask, that is N95. How will you transport the COVID patient? Movement of patients with COVID-19 should be limited by the appropriate location of admission. Non-intubated patients should be transferred wearing a surgical mask over their oxygen delivery device. All staff must wear airborne personal protective equipment. Once a patient is admitted to ICU, transport outside of the ICU should be limited. Hallways must be cleared. Only essential staff should accompany the patient. Intubated patient should have closed circuits with a HEPA filter inside. Next, about cardiac arrest algorithm of American Heart Association with modification to limit transmission. This describes the following. Do not listen or feel for breathing by putting your ear or cheek close to the patient's mouth. Avoid mouth-to-mouth or pocket mask ventilation. The staff should have gown, gloves, eye shield, goggles before starting CPR. Start CPR with chest compression. If patient is having oxygen mask before start of CPR, leave it inside. All drugs needed should be preloaded, preferably outside the room. Here, about the follow-up sample and discharge. First follow-up sample is to be taken on the 10th day of positivity for asymptomatic and category A patients from the first stage of positivity. For category B and C patients, first follow-up sample to be taken on the 14th day from the first day of positivity. If test remains positive on day 14, repeat testing every alternate days till negative. The patient may be discharged if he or she has completed 14 days since onset of symptoms and no symptoms since last 3 days and test is negative. So treatment options or line of treatment is over. Next comes COVID-19 guidelines on dead body management. Standard infection prevention control practices should be followed at all time. Training should be provided to all staff who are working in ICU setting on infection and prevention control practices. About the removal of the body from the isolation room or area are the following. Plug oral nasal orifices of the dead body to prevent leakage of body fluids. Place the dead body in leak-proof plastic body bag. Used equipment should be autoclaved or decontaminated with a disinfectant solution. All surfaces of the isolation area should be wiped with 1% sodium hydrochloride solution. And also, you have to allow a contact time of 30 minutes, then allowed to air dry. Handling of dead body in mortuary. Dead bodies should be stored in cold chambers maintained at approximately 4 degrees Celsius. After removing the body, what we have to do is chamber door, handles and door should be cleaned with the sodium hydrochloride 1% solution. The important point to remember is embalming of dead body should not be allowed. Autopsies should be avoided. The body secured in a body bag exterior of which is to be decontaminated. Avoid touching of the body during religious rituals or bathing, kissing, hugging, etc. of the dead body and gathering at the crematorium or burial ground. This is the important slide about role of healthcare professionals in infection control in ICU. Every staff strictly follow the infection control protocols for hand hygiene, personal protective equipment usage. Don't touch eyes, mouth, nose with hands. Donning and doffing of PPE in correct sequence. Active assistance during donning or doffing is for minimizing risk of accidental contamination. If feasible, take shower before leaving the hospital. In Rajagiri Hospital, the staff is taking shower before leaving the hospital. They are following this protocol for the prevention of infection. Physical distancing of staff, including having meals separately. Mobile phones should be cleaned regularly or wrapped with specimen bags. Daily self-screening for COVID-19 symptoms to be done. Reporting of any respiratory symptoms promptly. If we are following these all protocols, infection control can be maintained in ICU setting. Till now, we have discussed about the protocols related to COVID-19 patients in emergency unit. In this session, we have seen about the categorization of the COVID-19 patients, other critical care guidelines. We have seen about the transportation of the patients from one unit to another, role of health professional in infection control, COVID-19 guidelines on dead body management. These all aspects we have discussed in detail. I think you have gained some knowledge about this session. So it may be beneficial for you in your future nursing field. So I am concluding. Thank you all. Bless you. God bless. May the good Lord bless you all. Okay. Thank you once more.
Thank you, sister, for giving your valuable insights on the topic protocols related to care of patients with COVID-19 in critical care unit. It was really an interesting session. Thank you, sister.